All right, all right. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our June Community in the Courthouse, where our theme for this month is none other than Let's Talk Pride. I am Judy Danto, Chief of Staff to State's Attorney Braithwaite here in the office. I'm also an Assistant State's Attorney, and we are truly excited and beaming with pride. Y'all like that play on words, right? We are beaming with pride tonight because guess what? We have Riley Knox with us. Okay, y'all clap it up for Riley Knox.
Yes.
But this is
Woo!
yes. This is really the first time that as an office we have dedicated a platform like this to the very much needed discourse and transparent conversations that we will have this evening around our LGBTQIA plus community when it comes to issues of justice, when it comes to issues of policing, when we talk about fairness and inclusion, and certainly resources. So we're really excited about the conversation this evening. And this was important to the State's Attorney to really highlight as a topic, of course, during Pride Month, but certainly as these discussions continue beyond today in addressing the very personal experience that are had by members of this community who are also our residents and whose safety we absolutely prioritize. So we're really excited about tonight, and we know that this is going to be a very fruitful conversation. I was grateful to be a part of the discussions with the LGBTQIA plus committee that has now grown into a task force that I know Madam State's Attorney Braithwaite will definitely address. But when that thought came to mind, to great minds, to really put this forum for discussion together as a part of our planned community in the courthouse for the month. And so here we are. I definitely want to highlight that as a part of our program this evening, we will have a breakout room for anyone who is interested in speaking in confidence to a member of either our office or the police department. We will have Detective Mark Albright from the County Police Department, along with our Assistant Chief, Jessica Garth from our Special Victims Unit, and ASA Monica Myers available on standby to speak with anyone in confidentiality within those breakout rooms. So I definitely want to make sure I address that and point that out front. We will also have a Q&A session for anyone who is interested in asking a question. We ask that you use the Q&A function by raising your hand and directing a question in the comment chat box to one of the named co-hosts as a part of the forum for this evening. And then when we get to that Q&A portion, we'll certainly ask you to unmute yourselves so that you can pose your question to the panel for discussion. But we're really excited and we're ready to get this show on the road. So with that, I am going to turn it over to the Honorable Madam State's Attorney, Aisha Braithwaite.
Thank you so much, Madam Chief of Staff. This is such an amazing event. I'm super excited because when I became State's Attorney, one of the things that I said was that I wanted to make sure that justice was felt and applied to everyone equally. And the only way to do that is to ensure that every community, every interest group, everyone in our community who may have been, particularly those who have been underrepresented, understands that our office works for them too. And so I asked Ms. Brenda Razor, who's with our Community Affairs Unit, and I want to thank her. I asked her to be the liaison to our LGBTQIA plus community. She took on that challenge and not only created a platform within our office, because not only as Madam Chief of Staff mentioned, but members of this community are part of our greater community. They're neighbors, but they're also our co-workers and our partners. And so we're really excited to have a committee within our office that then grew into a task force made up of representatives from other agencies in government, as well as community-based nonprofits and individuals. So I want to thank Miss Brenda and her entire team for really making, that dream that I had to create that atmosphere within this office a reality. So thank you so much, Miss Brenda. But moving forward, this will not be the only opportunity to have a platform to talk to our office about issues such as these. This is just really our first big kickoff, and we'll have plenty of other opportunities to have discussions. So I'm really excited. And let me just shout out really quickly. I don't think she knows I'm going to do this, and I think her camera's off. So if Thea is on, can you cut your camera on real quick? There we go. So as I mentioned, we have some amazing members of our office who are part of the LGBTQIA+ community, and they do great work for our office. So I want to congratulate Thea on her victory today in a difficult homicide case, but she got justice for our community and for the victims and next of kin. So I want to congratulate and thank Thea for her amazing work. You are just a gem in our office. We appreciate you, and it's a well-deserved victory for our community.
Woo!
So Thea, why don't you say something so we can see you? So you'll pop up. Say something so you'll pop up.
I don't know if you can see us. Can you see us?
Yes.
Right here. There we are. Thank you, Ms. Broadway. That's very sweet of you. I get to celebrate with my girls.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so we are going to hear from some amazing people tonight, but the first person I have to say, I've probably known her longer than almost anyone else on this call, and that is none other than former state delegate Heather Meserve. I consider her a friend and a role model and someone who I just really adore. She is just a true champion of the people. And like me, she is committed to service. She served as Montgomery County's delegate for the 20th district for 8 years. And so she and I served together. And she is hoping to continue her service in the U.S. Congress. So we wish her all the best. She has broken down barriers and taken the lead on key issues like education, government transparency, healthcare, job creation, and marriage equality. Let me give you just a couple of examples of her extraordinary work. She served as vice chair of the Education and Economic Development Committee of our Appropriations Committee in the House. And during her time, K through 12 public education was increased by more than $400 million, and higher education funding increased by $350 million. So she really is a public servant dedicated to education. No one can take that away from her. She pushed for greater transparency by introducing the Maryland Open Government Act. She also introduced a bill that created the Joint Committee on Transparency and Open Government. She passed legislation like the Kids First Act to find and cover an estimated 100,000 children who were uninsured but eligible for public coverage. She is a member of the LGBTQIA+ community, and during her time in the legislature, she pushed successfully, for marriage equality and other issues impacting this community. So again, Heather Meserve, friend, colleague, and superhero. If you want to join us and say a few words, we would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Oh, Madam State's Attorney, thank you so much. That's such a beautiful introduction. You've reminded me of some things that I worked on while I was in the legislature that I had forgotten about. So thank you for that generous introduction. And yes, when we were in the legislature together, it was the LGBT community, and now it's QIA. It's like in 10 more years, we'll just have the entire alphabet, I think. We'll just call it LGBTQLMNOP. We kind of make a joke about that in our house, and yet at the same time, like, how beautiful. What that means is we are a community that continues to roll with the times and understanding of how people show up and where they're discriminated against and where they need support, and how our community comes together to embrace this collective for equal justice for everyone. And this is such a beautiful gathering. I hope that your colleagues in the 23 other jurisdictions in our state will take notice and do community courthouse meetings as well, because this is where the difference between somebody who's doing the job in order for it to just be their paycheck or the way they define themselves is different from someone who really is a public servant and is about connecting people with resources. And I love what you said about your commitment to the felt experience of justice. That's really powerful. And for those of us in the LGBTQIA plus, we'll just throw that plus in there, you know, anticipating future expansions, that there's a real need for the ability to feel that justice. When we were in the legislature together and working on marriage equality, then Delegate Brave Boy and I had many beautiful conversations through the course of that time that we served together. And when I spoke on the floor on that legislation, one of the things that I made clear, and of course, taking a snapshot in time, this was 2011, a very different environment than what we're standing in now, a decade later. But at the time, what I gave voice to was a recognition that some of my colleagues might not be there yet and are struggling with this, and how it is that I could hold compassion for that, because I also spent time when I was a young girl, confused, concerned, praying the gay away. So my own religious side could recognize and honor in someone else who may be in a place in their journey having a struggle with understanding and knowing how to be supportive of the LGBTQIA plus community. But that what I pointed out in that speech was, for those who were opposed to marriage equality at the time, what they wanted to do was to basically make gay people go away. They wanted to say we couldn't love each other. You can't stop us from loving each other. All you can do is keep us unequal under the law so that our relationships experience pain and suffering at a deeper level when life throws us a curveball. Because prior to marriage equality, if we're in relationships and something goes tragically wrong and somebody is sick, we could be denied hospital visitation privileges. Or if we're in a wreck and an ambulance comes to pick us up, maybe we're told we can't ride with our loved one to the hospital. We can't visit each other in nursing home facilities, or God forbid, if the very worst happened and we were to die, some members of our community were prohibited from making burial decisions for their beloved. And so ultimately, marriage equality was about recognizing that love is love, and that we all deserve equal protection under the law, that felt sense of justice and protection that State's Attorney Brave Boy is so committed to in her role now. You know, we can learn a lot from children. And thankfully, so much has happened in this decade that we're in a very different place. But I like to point to the way that children among us and around us tend to see the world as a reminder of how we open our hearts on this and any other kind of issue. My wife, Deborah, and I are going to be celebrating 16 years of marriage in August. And our oldest niece, Gracie, was about 8 years old when we were getting married. My sister told me that as they were preparing to come out to the wedding, and Gracie was going to be a flower girl in the wedding, she overheard Gracie and her best friend, Mackenzie at the time, jumping on a trampoline. And Gracie says to Mackenzie, I'm getting ready to go to my auntie's wedding and I'm going to be a flower girl. My Auntie Heather, my Auntie Deb's wedding. And Mackenzie stops on the trampoline and she says, Auntie Heather and Auntie Deb, two women are getting married? And Gracie said, yeah. Mackenzie thought about it for a second. She goes, oh yeah, here comes the bride, here comes the bride. That's why that song's like that. And they just kept jumping on the trampoline together and going about their business. And that's the way it should be. It shouldn't even be anything that we think about. Another great story was a neighbor boy of mine, also much older now, but when he was little, his mother tells this great story of picking him up from school one day and he's in the back seat. She's driving in the car. She's looking in the rearview mirror and she can tell he's super upset, his lips puffing. And she says, Ben, what's wrong? He's in first grade. And he said, well, Lauren told me at school today that she's not going to marry me when we get older. And so Joanna, his mother, thought about it for a minute and said, you know, in a consoling way, it's okay. You'll meet many people over the course of your life and you're really young. Don't worry about who you're going to get married to yet. And then he really started crying and he said, but Adam told me he's with Aiden and I'm left with no good choices. And so what beauty of how children understand that love is love. We meet and fall in love with all kinds of different people, and it's all genuine and beautiful and very much deserves our protection. It's a particularly helpful thing, I think, in Pride Month for us to, as the LGBTQIA plus community, to come together and to take note of what we've accomplished and how far we've come and be really clear about how much further it is that we have to go, why we need advocates and leaders in public spaces and in important positions like our state's attorney, but also like all of the amazing panelists that she has gathered. And a big shout out to Brenda and Judy for the work that they've been doing to bring this beautiful team together, because this is the ongoing work. You know, we can never just say, oh, we've accomplished everything we need to accomplish. We celebrate that. We're thankful for how far we have come. And we know that we still need help. We still know that that felt sense of justice is not experienced by all. And in the dialogues that will happen tonight and in the panelist conversations, we're going to, I think, receive beautiful insights into the ways in which we are still being called as advocates for justice and equality for all into that highest purpose of who we are as public servants. And let's just wrap it up with an acknowledgement of this. If you identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, I'm not even sure I know anymore what the A stands for, I'm sorry, but no matter which piece of the alphabet speaks to you, what I want you to stop in this very beginning of this gathering tonight to do is to carve out a space of recognition for your boldness as a truth teller in this world. You have had to take a risk to be honest and true about who you are, how you show up in the world, who you love, what your gender identity is. In speaking that truth and taking that risk, you are lighting a course and a pathway for others to do the same. And it's that leadership quality in your willingness to do that that sets you apart for doing really great things in your community, no matter in what direction you touch on. I want to applaud you and thank you all for being here tonight. I want to again thank I always want to call her Delegate Brave Boy because of our time together. Madam State's Attorney Brave Boy, for bringing this panel together. And I wish everyone big blessings for a beautiful evening. And thank you so much for the invitation to be here with you tonight. I send you my warmest regards and big support for over here in Maryland's Eastern Shore, beautiful Eastern Shore. We're always connected and supporting each other in beautiful ways. And I'm always here to help any way I can.
Thank you so much, my friend. And that's my favorite title for you, no matter what your next title might be. I'm still going to say my friend Heather. So thank you so much. Your words were just touched me so much. And I'm just so grateful that we have been able to just grow together. And you've taught me a lot. And I really appreciate that. And you've been amazing and instrumental, not only to me, but to this state. And I know that you will continue to be a major force within our state and perhaps within our country. So thank you again for being with us. And I know that you're busy. So if you have to drop off whenever you do, we understand. So thank you again. We also have some amazing public servants who serve us here in Prince George's County, who are members of the LGBTQIA plus community. And two of them are with us today. I know that they are also busy because they are mayors, and there's a very important conference going on in Ocean City, but they did want to drop in and say a few words to us. And so I know that mayors, I believe, Wojin from the city of College Park and newly elected Mayor Ward from the city of Hyattsville are with us. So in that order, if you can unmute yourselves and please say a few words. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Madam State's Attorney. It's great to be here and great to see so many familiar faces and to be here together in a spirit of pride. It's so great to hear from my friend Heather Messier. I was proud to be part of, my husband and I were part of the lawsuit for marriage equality that was filed back in 2004 and that we unfortunately lost in the Maryland Court of Appeals in 2007. And that was the same week when we lost that lawsuit in 2007 that I decided to put my name in the name on the ballot to run for the city council in the city of College Park, Maryland. And the reason why I did that was because even as we lost that battle in the court, I knew that there was there was much more that I could do, that we all could do as members of the LGBTQ community to fight in the court of public opinion and to show people that our relationships, we as ourselves as individuals, that we are entitled to respect and to dignity and to be proud of who we are. And so over the years, I was, of course, elected then into the city council in 2007 and 2015. I was elected to serve as the mayor of the city of College Park. And one of my goals as an elected official in College Park was really to make sure that College Park is a welcoming community to everybody. And before I was elected, I worked to try to pass a resolution through the College Park City Council in support of marriage equality, in support of the lawsuit that I was a part of at the time. And we weren't even able to get it on the agenda. But after I was elected, I was able to work with my colleagues to get unanimous support for equal marriage rights for same-sex couples, and unanimous support for non-discrimination for people on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. And that just shows the power of presence, the power of us being out there and visible and part of our communities. When you have somebody out there talking about their personal stories, when I'm out there talking about my personal stories, when we're all out there talking about our personal stories and how we are impacted personally by the laws in our state, the laws in our communities, the way that we treat people based on their sexual orientation and gender identity, the more that we're out there talking about that, the more that we really make advances in terms of obtaining justice, obtaining equality for all people, regardless of their sexual orientation and gender identity. And we all know we still have a long way to go. We all know that there are people who face serious and terrible discrimination and whose lives are at risk based on who they are. And until that day that we know that everybody can walk down the street free of discrimination, free of violence, regardless of their sexual orientation, their gender identity, their race, their ethnicity, their disability, all those various factors. Until our work isn't going to be done until we're done, until we reach that day. So I'm excited to be here, excited to work with all of you. I appreciate the leadership of our state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy, and the work that you are doing to advance equality in our county, make sure that when people discriminate against members of the LGBTQIA community, that they are held accountable for that. And we in the city of College Park are ready and willing to work with you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Wilhite. Next, Mayor Ward, congratulations on your recent election.
Thank you very much, Madam State's Attorney. It is an honor to be here with this distinguished group of people, number one, and it is a blessing to be able to represent the people of Hyattsville as its mayor. You know, my husband and I moved to Hyattsville almost 9 years ago, and we moved there because we felt it was a welcoming community. As the father of 2 African-American children, my husband's white, and we really wanted to be in a community where we felt that we were included and no one thought anything anything about what we looked like as a family. And one of the things for me is knowing that as an African-American male, sometimes the thoughts of being who you are in any community can feel difficult. And knowing that we are all a product of our lived experience and identities, I had to focus on understanding that it's incumbent upon me to honor those who've come before me, who fought the battles, and those who will come after me and will be able to walk the halls because we've knocked down the doors. One of the things that I was reminded of is my grandmother telling me, if you don't have a seat at the table, then you'll be on the menu. And that's oftentimes how I feel when you stand and take a look at who you are and are willing to stand in that space, and stand in that space in the face of adversity, stand in the space in the face of folks who may not like you, or folks who may not think you're gay enough, Black enough, white enough, or anything else. And those are the types of things that, for me, I really try to exemplify in our community in Hyattsville. And I bring it here to Ocean City, to the conference that we're at. And I wear it as a badge of honor to be a person who is part of the LGBTQIA+ community. My fundamental guiding principle and why I ran for city council years ago was really like, it's not about service in spite of who I am, it's service because of who I am. And understanding what that looks like and feels like to the young boys and girls who are out there who feel like they're different but want to serve. You're not any different than anybody else. And that's the message I try to get people to understand. And it's much like Madam State's Attorney talks about the felt sense of justice. You know, I really try to get to folks in our community and get them to understand that when they're struggling, particularly young folks, with who they are, members of the LGBTQIA community, that I tell them all the time that the you that you are is better than the you anyone wants you to be. And you must live in that truth, very much like Heather said, and be your own truth teller. So I am happy to be here. I am excited to be representing the city of Hyattsville, and I thank you all for this opportunity and look forward to working with all of you.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor, or both mayors, really. Thank you both for your kind words, and thank you so much for being partners. We appreciate you, and we look forward to your leadership in your respective cities and throughout our county. Next, we will hear from Jana Parker, who is representing Crystal Oriata, who is a co-founder of PG Changemakers. She is here to speak about a new policy called Pride PG Pride 365 campaign. So we're really excited to hear about that. We look forward to partnering with PG Changemakers and their new campaign. And so Jana, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much, State's Attorney Braveboy. It's a pleasure for us to be speaking on here. And I sent you greetings from Crystal. Unfortunately, she couldn't come because she has a very jam-packed schedule. But as a member of PG Changemakers, I'm here to speak for her. For those who do not know, PG Changemakers was founded by two co-founders, Prince George's County current residents and long-term residents of Prince George's County, Amity Pope and Crystal Orieva. This is a grassroots organization that focuses on social and racial change within Prince George's County. We've been all over the county doing events for the community, as well as highlighting specific things that need to be changed and focused within our community. This actual Pride Month, we did a whole week long of events, including a bike ride in Hyattsville that was wonderful, a Pride ride, if you will. We did a pop-up for vaccinations, as well as having two different panels, one that talked about how to increase LGBTQ QIA in politics on a local and state and national level. And we want to continue that. Our co-founder, Chris Orieva, has been very active in the LGBTQIA community, as that she is a part of that community for several years, as well as being a co-founder of several different organizations that continue to do the work through the work that she started through her vision, some on the call right now. And so subsequently, through PG Changemakers, we want to continue the work that she has started in other places and organizations by doing PGC Pride 365. Right? And that's going to continue to talk and bring and center the voices of every part of that community. We understand that being a part of the LGBTQIA community is not monolithic. It looks like several different things because it is a rich and diverse background. And we want to center all voices within Prince George's County to be heard and uplifted continuously and throughout the whole year, and to celebrate them, as well as bringing more allies in to ensure that everyone is heard within Prince George's County. We look forward to working with everyone on this call as appropriate, and we look forward to uplifting every single letter of the LGBTQIA plus community, because we realize that every letter matters, and every letter matters here in Prince George's County. So thank you so much, Attorney Braveboy, and we look forward to partnering with your office as much as possible. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jana. And you and I are friends too, so it's great just to see you on that level too. And I think that's the most important thing. It's like we just see each other as human beings, but recognize that we all do have, different experiences and backgrounds that really impact how we see the world and how we view the justice system. And so that's why these conversations are so incredibly important. I know that we have a short PowerPoint, very short PowerPoint that I wanted to provide. So if someone can start that. We, as I mentioned, we created this LGBTQIA plus task force. It is the first of its kind for Prince George's County. So this is really history making. So Brenda, you just made history here in the county. So we're really excited to take the lead on this issue from a government perspective. So we have a wide variety of partners, but our first partner, and I have to say they have been just so amazing, is the LGBTQ Dignity Project for Prince George's County. I mean, they were the first to come to us and want to be a part of the work that we're doing. And Cassie, thank you so much for just being a wonderful human being first, and then also a wonderful partner who has really been able to just connect us to so many individuals and organizations like Casa Ruby. And I had an opportunity to visit Casa Ruby in DC, and of course meet Ruby, who is amazing, and so many more organizations and individuals. So we are really excited about that. We attended and participated in several Pride celebration events. There were 4, which includes this one, that were designated by the LGBTQ Dignity Project, and that was a wreath laying on Friday. There was a wonderful a lighting of the Ferris wheel on Saturday night, and on Sunday we were all in College Park. It was wonderful, and then of course tonight is our is our first ever LGBTQ focused community in the courthouse. So we're really just, thank you so much to Cassie and everyone at the LGBTQ Dignity Project.
Thank you.
And we do, because we know members of the community care about what's happening all over our county. And so we do have a couple of campaigns that we've launched that we certainly need your support for. Our Streets, Our Future. This is a campaign designed to really focus in on reducing gun violence and occurrences of violence in general in our communities. We've seen an uptick since the pandemic, and it's not just felt by us here, but all around the country. There was an uptick in violent crime brought on, we believe, by some of the conditions of the pandemic, but we are working our way through it. And what we know is that together we can address this issue. And so we have brought together community partners, advocates, stakeholders, government agencies, law enforcement agencies, everybody, lottie-dottie, and everybody's a part of it, because it's going to take all of us to address this issue. It's not just a law enforcement response, it must be a community response. We are recruiting 1,000 mentors and volunteers, and so we want you to support this. If you can give of your time for an individual or just come out to our events, we would appreciate that. We have plenty of them planned throughout the summer and fall. One of the I think this is probably going to be our third event, which will be this Saturday from 11 to 4. It's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament in District Heights. Now, I have agreed to participate. Now, I have never played a basketball game in my life, so y'all don't laugh at me, but I'm going to do my best to run up and down that court, maybe make a few shots, but I will do a lot of trash talking because, I think that'll be the most fun for me, at least. So this is the flyer for it. We're doing it along with our wonderful partners in the city of District Heights and the Mayor Jonathan Medlock. So if you can join us this Saturday, we'd appreciate it. So that's the flyer. And again, if you would like to sign up, and I think if you could put this also in the chat, if you would like to sign up to become a volunteer or a mentor, learn about our events, there's a tiny URL link. And if someone can just type that out in the chat so people can click on it, we really want you to do that. And we also launched this weekend a carjacking prevention campaign videos, ads that will be airing on social media throughout the summer. And so it's called Don't Take the Ride. And Big G from the Backyard Band is our featured guest star in our ads. And we produced it along with Easy Street. So we're really excited about those campaigns going out to the communities and the people on social media, our young people who need to hear this message. Next
Right,
slide.
Madam State's Attorney. Now, everybody's going to be out there with their cell phone cameras to see you in your basketball gear for this 3-on-3 tournament on July 3rd, okay?
Trust me, most of it will be the trash talking, trust me. But I know we have our panel. We have a wonderful panel discussion that we have. And Madam Chief of Staff, I think I'm gonna let you take over this part to introduce those who will be giving their 1 to 2 minute or their lived experiences, and then begin the panel.
Absolutely, Madam State's Attorney. So yes, we are going to be transitioning into our panel discussion at this time. We have an esteemed panel that is going to be engaging in some discussions and some heavy conversation around our themed community in the courthouse for this month. I will allow them to sort of self-introduce themselves. So they know what to do. I'm gonna just yield the floor to our panelists to again provide your introduction, certainly share any pronouns, your agency and organization affiliations, and then we will begin the discussion. So our panelists.
Oh, thank you, Madam State, for allowing me to take part in such a historic event here in the county. Be a part of a great task force team. And good evening, everyone. During this discussion, my comments, opinions, views, and statements are mine and mine alone. They are not the comments, opinions, views, and statements of the department. So with that being said, my name is Jerron Bester. I am a police corporal. I've been employed by the police department for 15 and a half years. So with tonight's event, it's my hope to bring about awareness, education, and inclusion. And thank you guys for being a part of it tonight.
Hi, everybody. I am Riley Knox, and a lot of you know me as the #1 Beyonce impersonator in the world. But I am also the I'm also known as the first transgender woman ever to perform halftime in the NBA. I'm also a clothing designer and an actress. And I'm so happy to be here tonight. I'm so happy to share my experience as a transgender woman and my story, and also give some insight as to what the transgender community needs from everyone, and how we can bring awareness to everything that's happening with transgender people also.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Howard Brent. I'm the current president of the LGBTQ+ Dignity Project. I have been put to work as soon as Cassie put me on board, she put me to work and planning all of these wonderful activities that the state's attorney just mentioned. And I am so elated to be part of that. I'm also on the panel as an educator. I've been an educator for over 20 years. And as Corporal said, none of these views that I express here represent my school district in any fashion. They are my own personal views and my views alone.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I jumped the line. I'm sorry about that. I'm Roberta Phillips. I am the CEO for the Prince George's County Memorial Library System. We are very, very keen on being inclusive and welcoming to everyone in our community. We have a fabulous LGBTQ+ team that is award-winning with the Urban Library Council for their work in this matter. And I am just overjoyed to be here with you all today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ray Jackson. I am a pastor in the United Methodist Conference umbrella. Just as has been said before, I do not represent the conference and ideas, but I do want to be here to help theologically look at things. I am the director and founder of the One Love Life Center, which has the ministry The Well, Encounter the Well, and also pastor of the Bridge DC at the historic Asbury United Methodist Church in Washington, DC, as well as an accomplished artist, musician, producer as well. And I'm glad to be a part of this panel. Thank you to Madam Braveboy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Karen Kendra Holmes, and I work for the federal government now for 20 years. I'm a strong advocate for this transgender community, and I actually speak to law enforcement agencies, police, fire, medical field, universities all around the country. I've partnered up with the Department of Justice Community Relations Services as a subject matter expert, so that way I can try to bridge the gap between the transgender community and law enforcement. I'm so happy to be partnered up with the LGBT Dignity Project, as well as the state's attorney's office. I'm hoping that we can bring some big change and safety to the transgender community in the county of Prince George's County. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ellie Jones with Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center. Sorry, I just have to show you my picture because I'm driving down the road. But we work with victims of crime throughout the whole state of Maryland, making sure that their rights are not violated within the criminal process, whether it's in the beginning of the criminal process or at the end. I also have one of my attorneys with us, and he is Alonzo Robertson, and I'll let you go from there, Alonzo.
I have to say, I too am driving down the road. I'm almost home, so I'll be able to spend more attention. But I didn't want to miss a moment of this presentation and a moment of this group getting together. Madam Braithwaite, you have done it again, knocked it out of the park. Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center, we try to represent all victims of crime, regardless of age, gender, or any other underserved community that is out there. And I look forward to being able to provide you with some information about the services that we provide to the community. Thanks a lot, Ellie. On to you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Robert Jenkins, and I work at the Prince George's County Health Department. Dr. Karen Payne, who also works with the health department, recommended me to be a part of this task force. Madam Braithwaite, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm well known throughout the LGBT community in the DMV area. I am a ballroom house father. I am an icon in the ballroom scene, and I don't know if you've seen the TV show Legendary, Pose, or the documentary Paris is Burning, but that just gives you a little backstory on ballroom, and later on I'll tell you a little bit of my involvement here.
All right, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So we are going to again open the floor up for our panel discussion. I believe that we have a few of our panelists who will begin by kicking us off with some personal experiences. I believe Corporal Bester will lead the discussion, followed by the one and only Riley Knox, and then our house father, Mr. Dinkins, will certainly close us out with the sharing of experiences as we again begin the discussion moderated by State's Attorney Braithwaite. So Corporal Bester, I will yield the floor to you.
All right, so as I said, I'm a police officer for the county, been deployed for 15 and a half years. My personal story is I live in Clinton, Maryland. I bought my house in 2012. Over the last couple of years, I have had encounters with a neighbor, very homophobic neighbor. So over the past 2 years, I've experienced him calling me a gay ass cop, a faggot, sissy, punk. He's called me shameful. He's shaking he's shaking his head. He's laughed. This has been going on for about a year and a half, 2 years at the time. So one particular day, Saturday, off duty, not representing the county any way, shape, or form, in t-shirt and shorts, going to get my mail. As I'm walking to my mailbox, I'm being, berated by a bunch of homophobic slurs. He's calling me a fag. He's calling me a punk. He's calling me a sissy. And I'm like, okay, guy, really? He's an older gentleman. So I get my mail. I'm walking back to my front door, and he's continuously calling me fag, punk, sissy. So I said, well, okay, obviously this guy wants my attention. So as I turn, to see it, undoubtedly, is he talking to me? So I turn, he's looking dead at me. He's just going to town with his homophobic slurs. So, I just kindly say, well, you always looking over here. What, you want, some dick or something? And we had a little stare off for 2 or 3 minutes, and I waved him off and I went on about my business. Little did I know, he was offended, and he called the county police and filed a complaint against me, which in turn, the county police investigated his complaint, and they decided to punish me with a use of language charge. So long story short, I am fighting that charge, and I've reached out to the department. Even the detective that investigated, I said, well, wait a minute, time out. I said, I was off duty. I wasn't representing you guys at all. You know, this is a personal matter between me and my neighbor. He's homophobic. You know, he's harassing me. So when I address it, so now I'm being punished. I didn't understand that. So this went to higher ups on the department, and they basically told me to deal with it. Verbatim, deal with it, ignore him. They brushed it under the rug. They did not want to face the fact that I was a homosexual male, that I was being harassed, and nobody wanted to touch it, but they wanted to punish me. So it's still a fluid situation that I'm dealing with, and I'm not going away. I mean, clearly I'm not going away. So, you know, that's why I reached out to the Dignity Project, and big ups to Casey. I mean, she's done a lot, and I really appreciate her and her organization.
Corporal Bester, call me tomorrow, please. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, hello, everybody. So I'm Riley Knox, as I said before. My story is I have a very interesting story. I think a lot of people see what I do now and, you know, all this glamorous life that I have now, but it hasn't always been this way. When I first moved to DC, the oldest trans woman I ever met was 57 years old. That's actually the oldest trans woman that I've known. I had so many friends that were taken from me, and, you know, sisters that were slain at the hands of, you know, men for being who they are. And I almost lost my life also. And I've always been an overachiever when it comes to what I do, which is why everybody sees me doing all these different things, simply because I just knew in the back of my head, and I actually said it because I just had a milestone birthday. I turned 40, and I said to everyone at my birthday party, all my friends, I said, you guys, I've been holding a secret. The secret is that I've always been an overachiever simply because I did not think that I was going to live past a certain age. I didn't think I was going to make it to 40 because I know that the average life expectancy for a trans woman of color is 35, which is very young. And I almost lost my life twice at the hand of two different men. And for me, the fact that it did not happen is the blessing in all of it, because it gives me the voice, because I have such a big platform and because so many people look up to me. Even though my life is what it is, I'm just like everybody else. There's nothing really special about me other than I just had a talent, and God gave me a voice to be able to use that voice in order to help my community and to let my sisters know that it is possible to come out the other side of it all. And, you know, the thing is we talk about trans people, you know, what we want is acceptance. And, you know, the thing that we want most importantly is respect, you know, because while you may not understand everything that, you know, a trans person goes through, why you may not get what it is, or, you know, you might slip up and use the wrong pronouns, or whatever it is, it's just about respect, which is, you know, what you would give anybody that you see, any stranger that you see on the street. And to all my trans sisters, the thing is, I think a lot of times we sit in this place of gratitude where we're like, I'm so grateful for the fact that you see me as a woman, or I'm so grateful for, you know, the fact that I get to do this and stuff. And I feel like I've moved on from that space of gratitude and thankful that someone's, yes, you should see me as a woman because that's who I am, but more to a place of empowerment, especially because I stand on the shoulders of those giants that came before me. All those trans women and men who paved the way for me to be able to walk down the street right now. The ones who literally fought in the streets, literally, and fought for their lives and gave their lives, you know, or lost their lives, so that I could be able to have the rights that I have to be able to walk down the street. And so for me, it is a duty of mine to be the voice for my community, a voice for my community, and to basically bring awareness to everything that's going on in the trans community and the fight that we have for our survival. And it's crazy because I didn't think that, I transitioned 17 years ago. I didn't think that 17 years later, I didn't think we would be at a place where we would have people like Laverne Cox and Pose and shows like that. So while we have progressed in many ways, I didn't think that we would also still have girls that were still being killed at the hands of people that were, afraid to, we always say they're not, they don't kill us because they hate us, but they kill us because of what it means to love us. And just really a life, the value of a life. Being a transgender person, the value of our life, we're on the very bottom of the totem pole. And being a trans woman of color, we're at the very bottom of the totem pole. And for me, because I have this platform, it is extremely important to me to stand up and use that platform, not to just be on stage and be glamorous and have my hair blowing in the wind and all that stuff, but also, while those things are fun, and yeah, a trans girl made it, but also use that platform as the voice in my community.
Well, Ms. Knox, first of all, thank you. You are not only beautiful on the outside, but you're beautiful on the inside, and you're a woman of substance. So I feel you, sis. I feel you. I feel your heart and your spirit. And we know that we need you because, when I heard about the life expectancy for our trans women, especially trans women of color, it just really literally broke my heart. And even though, my role obviously is as the top law enforcement officer, there's so many more things that I think I can do and provide, pathways to jobs and other opportunities for especially our trans women of color who need us. So Riley, we are going to do great work together, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Mr. Jenkins or Dr. Brent, and I know that Ms. Holmes is also going to share a few words.
I think I'm going after Dr. Brent, or are you going first?
Well, I think you were going to speak about your experiences with the.
Okay, great. I'm sorry. Okay, so as I stated when I first came on, I work with the health department. I am also a part of the ballroom community. Everyone knows what the health department is, but what is ballroom? Ballroom is a subculture that was started by African American and Latino American LGBTQ plus individuals. And basically, the individuals come together to compete at events known as balls. They compete in different categories, representing face, body, runway, dancing talents like voguing, or either showcasing fashion. And typically these individuals, while anyone can compete, individuals join organizations known as houses. And these houses are like subfamilies. So when you hear of like the House of Balenciaga or the House of Revlon or the House of Ebony, these they're not actual physical locations, but they are families. There's families, there are entities that people are a part of. And while ballroom is, known for the competition, there's so much more that we do. There's so much more that we do behind the scenes. When, a lot of times how people get into ballroom is through their own trauma. Riley, can speak to that. A lot of trans women, once identifying that they want to transition, they find themselves ostracized from their families. Gay men and women, young men and women, find themselves facing some of the same obstacles. So joining an organization such as a house, not only are you learning a talent on the floor, but a lot of times we're able to afford those people, life skills and help them to, learn how to interview for a job or, kind of connect them, with resources. there was an initiative that was created a few years ago called House Lives Matter, which is the t-shirt that I represent. During the pandemic, when a lot of people were out of work, it was a small token, but House Lives Matter was able to send, $100 to people, that were out of work. $100 isn't a lot, but when you're hungry, when your lights are about to go out, that money was able to, supplement those individuals. So Ballroom has always been a network that kind of supports the LGBTQ plus community in so many different ways. And, going forward, there are a lot of people here in Prince George's County in Washington, D.C., that participate in Ballroom. And I want to, be a part of this task force and just do what we can, to have the state's attorney help individuals do what they can so that, going forward, that they can be productive members of society.
Yeah, and I can really spin off that because, Robert, what you were talking about as an educator, these young students or these children not being accepted in their own homes. Where do they go? They go to the streets. And that's hard for a teacher, the teachers that I'm teaching, to know or have some reality or understanding and not know, actually, that they're leaving Prince George's County running to DC to get services. When I realized that, I said, oh no, I gotta do something. And that's when I was introduced to the Dignity Project to really get something done for our youth. One of the services I hope that we can provide our youth is a coming out process for our youth, because that's a very challenging moment, not just for the child, but for the parents as well. And so having some sort of service or some sort of forum where the child and the family can come together and have some coming out process that they can do together as a family and make it some sort of celebration for them is one of the projects that I would like and hopeful that Dignity Project would take on. So yeah, that was a perfect segue. But my also personal struggle is being a teacher. Back in the 90s, my ex-partner and I, of 14 years, we got married, or we had a commitment ceremony. That's what they called it back in the day, a commitment ceremony. So now I'm telling my age. But back in the 90s, my partner and I had a commitment ceremony in 94. And the thing is, when we exchanged vows, we had to do all of that paperwork. We couldn't do the sign a marriage certificate. We actually had to go the long route. We actually had to go to a lawyer. We actually had to have bank accounts set up. We actually had to go and make sure life insurance policies and wills were in place. So it was really a challenge back in the 90s for my partner and I. But the most challenging part was, and I believe teachers are born and not made. I'm a teacher by birth. I'm passionate about teaching and about our youth. And so the most struggle for me was the possibility that I could lose my job just for the simple fact that I'm gay. Back in the 90s, that was real. I had to keep that and I had to stuff that. And to wear my wedding band, I couldn't really wear it without people asking, well, how's your wife? Or they would assume, oh, I didn't know you were married, I was Mr. Brent at the time. I didn't know you were married, Mr. Brent. I couldn't come out to my own students because for fear of losing my job. Now, today, fast forward, I am creating spaces where we can create that kind of space for our employers, our teachers, our educators, where we can freely talk about who we are and identify who we are and still get the support from our administrators and our students. So that's where we are. We have a long way to go, but now, the thing is, if I want to wear my a wedding band, if I ever get married one day, I'm hopeful that I'm blessed to do that one day. At least I don't have to lose my job over it. And so, that's my personal experience. And yeah, it is a new day, but we definitely have a long way to go.
Hi, everybody. My personal experience, I started when I transitioned was October 1st of 2010. As a trans woman, I've been very fortunate and blessed in every possible way. And I try to go around the country to speak to different organizations, especially the trans women and men, that you can live your dream and make it come true. And just to fast forward a little bit, I actually joined the Maryland Defense Force that supported the Maryland National Guards. And I went in as a corporal. And as of right now, I retired after 5 years, and now I'm with the United States Veterans Reserve Corps as first sergeant. And it's been very, very good. I was afraid of being kicked out of the military back in the time of past administration, but because my prior command, they supported me wholeheartedly. They just basically said, if somebody asked them, do you have a trans person that's in your unit? They just basically said, what trans person? So that's the kind of support that I really got from them going through the whole process. And I just really felt like, there's a lot that I can offer to the trans community as far as Riley was talking about platform. It was great that she said that, because in 2015, I remember getting honored in the Platform magazine. It's an international magazine where I was among 31 other women from around the world for up and coming aspiring females with a platform. And I was the only trans woman in that magazine. So I take that with a lot of honor, that the fact that here, this magazine recognized me as a woman and didn't mention anything about being a trans woman, to be honored in their magazine. The other thing is, things have processed so much for me when Major Waddy from the 3rd District from Prince George's County, after the 2 girls were murdered in 2019, that she was tired of pushing the girls from Maryland side to DC, DC back to Maryland. And she didn't want to play this ping pong game. And so she basically gave me a call, and she said, would you be interested in helping the girls get off the streets down there? And I said, absolutely. I mean, to me, to try to help them get off the streets was, for their own safety, was the primary goal for me, to be able to be a part of this thing that she wanted to get going for Prince George's County, and primarily the 3rd District. So what I was doing is riding up and down Eastern Avenue with a police officer every 2 weeks, kind of like a ride along. And when we saw some of the girls out on Eastern Avenue, the officer would stop his cruiser, I would get out, introduce myself, not as a police officer, but as a trans woman also. And I asked, is there any way we can do to help you get off the streets and get involved in possibly work and so on? And every one of them gave me a response that they wanted to do that. They wanted to be, a big society of, to the community and elsewhere. And so I got together with a coalition group that my goal was, let's provide these girls with something to live for. I want to be able to say, hey, let's work with them helping resume building. Let's also work with one-on-one across the table, role playing and job interview. And then I want to get people together as far as we donate close to the Salvation Army, Goodwill. Let's give some kind of flyer to them to say, go to this location that we've partnered up with and say, hey, I'm here to get clothes for a job interview and so on. And so this is what comes back as doing to get people very much involved and get these girls off the streets and help them do things really well. So that's a major part of my life, teaming up with Prince George's County, being, I guess, drafted, you could say, to be a part of this was an honor that I got asked. I'm also working with the Department of Justice Community Relations Services, is where I'm teamed up with another police officer who has gone through the program. And what we're going to do is we're going to be traveling the country either virtually or in person to bridge the gap between the transgender community and law enforcement. So that's my goal there too. I've already done one with Winston-Salem, North Carolina Police Department. In a couple of weeks, I'll be doing the one for Georgetown Law Police Department, and it's just going to keep on going. So that's my goal. And if anybody wants to tag along my coattail that I'm tagging along with the state's attorney's office, please let me know. Thank you.
And thank you. Oh, sorry, Madam State's Attorney.
No, go ahead, Madam Chief of Staff.
Yes, before you delve into the Q&A portion, I just wanted to remind everyone that you certainly are at liberty to pose and present any questions of the panel. You can definitely type them in the chat to one of the named co-hosts that are listed. And those questions will be presented. We'll ask you to unmute yourself. And if you raise your hand, we can acknowledge you and have you ask your question. But at this time, Madam State's Attorney will lead us in some Q&A. And I know we have a few questions coming in.
Thank you very much, Madam Chief of Staff. And I will ask my first question, but before I ask the first question, I did want to say that it is Pride Month. And so there are those who have joined us who may not have come out yet and want to, or are thinking about it. And there will be an opportunity at the end of this, if anyone wants to say anything or just to share their truth, that we want you to do that, because we want to take every opportunity for people to be who they are and to be proud of who they are. So that there will be an opportunity if anyone wants to, just say who they are and what they are. If they have not disclosed that and they want to, we want to provide a platform for that as well. So our first question is, there are members of the LGBTQIA+ community who find themselves in the criminal justice system, some because of commercial sex work. Others have engaged in other types of behaviors that are considered criminal, basically for survival. Is there anything that agencies can do, not just here in Prince George's County, where our office has decided we are not prosecuting commercial sex work? We have diversion programs that we provide, but that is not the only offense that sometimes members of the community find themselves in the justice system for. But are there things that agencies can do to reduce recidivism and individuals getting involved in a criminal lifestyle or committing crimes? So that's the first question.
I'd like to answer that question. As far as my time out with Prince George's County Police, every 2 weeks when we were riding up and down Eastern Avenue, I had time in between stops to talk to the law enforcement officer that I'm riding with and give them a little bit of background on myself, which is one thing, to get them to know who I am. But the other thing is to explain to them why these girls are out there working the streets. They've lost their spouse, they've lost their children, they've lost their home, they've lost their jobs. What they want food on their table, they want a place to lay their head down at night, and so on. So they have a better understanding, at least from me riding with those officers, of who we are and why they are out there working the streets.
I want to echo that. I think the more we provide individuals with resources such as employment opportunities, education, and their safety, those are the three that are very paramount. So agencies that provide services to protect the safety of individuals and also to develop the individuals in terms of like what the previous individual Robert mentioned about interview skills, job training, just preparing for an interview, man, there's a lot in that, and so just those little things can go a long way. And just like I was mentioning about the Dignity Project, to come out is a very, very hard process. And you don't come out just once, you come out multiple times and in different settings. So just coming out at home with my family is one process, but they have to understand there's another coming out process even at school to feel comfortable at school. So any organization that can help support the coming out process for all ages, from K-12 to adulthood to even seniors, would be important.
Well, thank you, Dr. Brent. I see that our CEO of our library system, Roberta Phillips, made a comment in the chat about how the library is a safe and brave place. Ms. Phillips, do you want to expound on that?
Absolutely. I want to shout out several of my staff members who are part of our LGBTQ plus team. We are award winning for our work with the Urban Library Council, and we're very proud of that. The library is really dedicated to inclusion. That is one of our focus areas of our new strategic framework. And we believe that it is our responsibility to educate, to provide resources, to work with our great partner, Employ Prince George's, to provide career and, as you said, interview readiness. We have career coaches. We have curriculum that supports that. We also just had our first ever Teen Pride Lounge. That was celebration of teens on Discord and YouTube with authors Leah Johnson and Tom Ryan. And we're having brave conversations. The elephant we don't see is our diversity dialogue, and we're touching on every subject: slavery, voting rights, LGBTQ plus community, mental health. And those conversations are about educating, helping people to see that there are places in our community with all of these esteemed panel members. It's obvious that they can go and get resource and talk to folks. My staff did videos for staff, for teens on It Gets Better. We also are working with the middle school and high schools for gender, sexuality, and anti-bias clubs. So the library's outreach program in this area is very rich. And, you know, if any of the panelists would like to do any kind of program with us, just reach out. This is the kind of thing that gets me excited, because the more we can educate people and make people feel welcomed, especially in the library, which is the most, you know, democratic place we have. That's our mission and that's our goal. So please reach out to me. And for the folks listening, the library has resources. I mean, we are even updating our catalog keyword and subject headings so that they reflect the terminology and the things that people look for, not just library language. I mean, that's how in depth we are going with our race, equity, and inclusion. So please reach out to me and know that the library is a place where you can come. We are allies, and we are here to help and support you.
If I could add on, Madam Bravewood, I wanted to say, in listening to the stories of Karen and Howard and Jerron and Riley, one thing that, you know, that gets lost with a lot of people and being a father in ballroom is the trauma that people carry with them. So, you know, being ostracized from your family, being a young trans woman, you know, going through your transition where you're starting to develop and, you know, you're being called names in public or you're being picked on, you know, not only even as a young boy, but as a man who's, you know, serving his community, you know, to come home to where you pay your mortgage and your taxes and you're still harassed. That's trauma that people carry. So a lot of times when, you know, we're trying to direct people, you know, to focus their life in the right direction, you know, they're still carrying this trauma. So I think it's important that we encourage people, you know, to speak to counselors, to speak to mental health professionals that can help them, you know, unpack these things that they've gone through in life.
You know, thank you so much for that. You know, the next question I have kind of like, you know, kind of really dovetails on that. You know, oftentimes parents find out that their children are, you know, want to come out or haven't come out, and, you know, they love their child, but they also have maybe a faith that teaches them that that is not, you know, appropriate. But it's difficult, I think, oftentimes for parents to reconcile that. How can the faith community, and Pastor Ray, you may hopefully take the lead on maybe starting with responses to this. How can the faith community really help our parents and others who may be struggling with the question of of how they feel about their child who may be coming out or wanting to come out, but are afraid of how they might feel or how their peers might feel?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Madam Braveboy. I think a part of that is really taking the time to unpack theologically your faith. I think for such a long time, especially those of us in the African American community, we've allowed ourselves to fall under a faith that has been traditionally passed down. And so we allow ourselves to fall into the nurture instead of our nature. And so we've learned these certain traditions, we've learned certain theologies, and we believe those theologies and traditions without properly assessing the scripture and the right contextual lens of what we should approach our scriptures. So I think for any parents and for any teachers, I think it is only fair for us to wrestle with, what does the Bible really say? How does the Bible really say it? To whom was the Bible written? And a lot of that comes into context. It's understandable that some people still wrestle with the theology. And in truth, I think a lot of us wrestle with the theology, but that's okay. It's okay to be able to wrestle with theology. So I think that, one, we have to do that. But I think also just making sure that you are aware of churches that support. There are affirming churches and accepting churches, and really you have to really find out which one of those churches will accept you and love you. I was able to help start and launch in DC the Table Church, which was a cross-denominational, cross-cultural, cross-ethnic ministry. And it was very accepting. They even formed an LGBTQ plus group that focused on this issue. And so I think you really have to really wrestle with, is the church that I'm at, what is the conversation they're willing to have? What does the pastor, what theology do they describe to? If it's a denominational church, you'll often find in denominations that there might be some arguments on both sides. Make sure the churches affirm you and that they accept you and that they're willing to have the conversation. And then from there, find a pastor like me who's willing to talk about it and love you regardless.
And I wanted to chime in on that. I can't speak from a parent standpoint, but as a child who went through that with my mother, who is Jehovah's Witness, and my grandmother, who is Jehovah's Witness, who raised me, my mom and I struggled quite a bit. And it was one of those things where my mom had to realize that, yes, she has her beliefs, but also she loves her child. And her how I turned out, or as she would say, how I turned out is not a reflection of bad parenting. And so she still struggled for a while, but I think she had to get to the point where she realized that I love my child, despite what my beliefs are, whether I understand it. And I'll be very honest with you, 17 years later, there's things that my mother still doesn't understand, but there is a respect there and still the love there for her child. So, yeah.
And there is no love greater than the love of the parent. So it is so important that parents, number one, regardless if they cannot understand, just let your child know that you love them, because that means everything. That could mean, their decision to live or not, because I know that, those who have struggled sometimes have lost their lives because of the struggle. So a parent's love means everything. So thanks for bringing that up. So I know that we have some questions in the chat and from our Facebook audience. And I wanted to make sure that we got those questions in. So I want to turn it over to my Chief of Staff so that she can take over that part of the Q&A. So Madam Chief of Staff.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so there is a question, I believe it's for Jerron, if you can speak to the level of support that you received from either the police union or the department in general. Is there a support mechanism within the department for officers that identify as LGBTQ? If you want to take that one.
No, to be very blunt and honest, no. The only support I've received was from the Dignity Project and from my close personal friends. The department has an outreach team. I guess you can call them an outreach team. They were put together, I guess, to silence us. You know, it was one of those, you know, oh, give them something, you know, to keep them quiet type things. I've reached out to them. They were no help. They didn't even know who to reach out to. They, you know, was talking about reaching out to the Human Relations Commission. I had already reached out to the Human Relations Commission. You know, they thought that it was kind of crazy. And they said, oh man, you need a lawyer. Well, I'm like, okay. You know, the outreach team told me, you know, well, we can throw a parade. We can have a block party. I'm like, how is that addressing the issue? How is that changing anything? Like, so the department was absolutely, you know, it just got no help from the department, no help. And you know, you hit a roadblock and you would think that they would stop everything that's going on in the county, everything that's going on in the department. You would think that, you know, like it's 2021, come on now. But, you know, I had to look for resources and help outside of the very people that I work with. You know, it was very disheartening. So to answer that question, no. No.
I chuckled a little bit when you said that they wanted, like, we can throw you a parade or whatever. I always think it's so interesting how when we bring up issues that we have, they want to give you everything except for solve the issue that's at hand. They want to give you everything to pacify. We see that in race relations, but we also see that in the LGBTQIA community too.
Right.
Thank you, Jerron, for that very candid response. The next question is, and I know that we're moving past the 7:30 hour, so we want to definitely answer as many questions as possible. How does the Department of Corrections assign housing units when a trans woman is locked up? Is she placed in the female or male unit? And I know we don't have a representative from the DOC on with us. We definitely work very closely with our Department of Corrections. I believe that's a question that we can certainly follow up on. I don't know if we have an actual response or if anyone has any knowledge with respect to that. But Madam State's Attorney, I'm assuming that we can definitely follow up and Dr. Payne provide you with an accurate response to your question.
Can I answer that real quick?
Sure.
The group with the Department of Justice Community Relations Services that I'm working on with, actually the group down in Winston-Salem, North Carolina was mostly Sheriff's Department down there. And my partner, who was the sergeant from LAPD, explained the fact that they are putting us in housing right now that's based upon our gender at birth. I hope that never would happen to me. I'm going to stay out of trouble, but you know, I've had my surgery and everything, so I would think they wouldn't put me in the population of male. They would put me in the population of female. But the same thing when it comes to doing a search, I can request for a search to be done by a female officer rather than a male officer doing it. But the conversation also led to the point where officers will do what they have to do to make sure that they are safe. They probably wouldn't do anything that's too dramatic as far as a search, just enough to make sure that we didn't have a weapon on us that would hurt them. But male will search females office, suspects as well. So it's a very fine line. And that's one thing I'll be doing hopefully down the road here with Montgomery County with their jail system. So, and hopefully it'll be done through the Department of Justice Community Relations Services too.
And it's just a crazy thing because you think about it, like suppose I did something and I had to go to jail and they put me in prison based on what I was assigned at birth. And they put me in prison full of men, you know what I mean? Could you imagine how unsafe that would be? And, you know, it just based on who we are. And I just think it's just so unsafe and it's so scary for trans women to feel like, even though, you know, you might be there for something that you might have, a crime you might have committed, but still there's no respect. And then they're throwing you in a place with these men that they haven't seen a woman in forever. And then here all of a sudden I walk in and that is scary to me. Absolutely scary. So I don't know the answer to the question, but I hope that there's something. I do know that I've heard that in some places there's a special unit where they'll have just like I'm not sure. I don't think it's in every prison system, but they will have a special unit for just trans people. I've seen that on documentaries and things like that, but it's not everywhere, and it's a scary situation.
And just to piggyback off of that, when we're on the streets, it depending on the situation. A male officer, you know, or female, whatever, will be able to pat you down. Typically, we try to get, you know, a female officer or a male officer, depending. They used to go with what Riley said, you know, what was on your birth certificate. They didn't give a damn. They said, oh, you were born a male? You going over there with the male. Now they're getting away from it. You know, I think they've gotten away from it. So we typically handle it how you identify yourself. So we treat you, you know, accordingly that way.
Absolutely. And Karen, I appreciate your knowledge and wisdom on that issue, and Riley, certainly your thoughts. But we'll definitely, you know, have the most recent and current information provided in response to the inquiry. So thank you. I know we did get a few questions in from Facebook that were specific to Jerron's issue, which I'm sure will be followed up offline. So we're not going to rehash, but Madam State's Attorney said give her a call. So please do that. So I don't believe we have any other questions in the chat. I know that Ali, one of our good partners from the Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center, has certainly advised that anyone who has been a victim of crime or has medical bills or lost or unpaid time from work and the crime is not more than 3 years, to please give the Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center a call, and that number is in the chat along with the website. So with that, I believe that Ms. Phillips, did you have another question before we closed out our Q&A?
I didn't have another question. I just wanted to, you know, I'm an ally, and I wanted to thank you all for sharing your truth and your passion to make things better. As I stated, you know, the library wants to be as inclusive as possible to all. And this is great. This has just been a joy to be a part of. And if you want to see all the things the library is doing, you can go to pgcmls.info/pride. And there's lots of resources for everyone there.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Roberta. We appreciate you. Now, before we close out this epic community in the courthouse, this has been absolutely a phenomenal discussion. And as someone mentioned in the chat, it is absolutely the type of conversations that we must have. But it would not be complete without the proper closeout remarks, certainly from the state's attorney, but before her, from the one and only Mrs. Brenda, or if you really know her, we call her Miss B, because as the state's attorney said, you know, we would not be here but for her taking on the challenge and leading the charge on behalf of this office and under this administration. So with a virtual round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us please give Ms. B her flowers as I yield the floor to her for some closing remarks, because we certainly know all of the blood, sweat, and tears that her team has put into making this event a success, and certainly to carry on the mission and the vision of the task force. So, Ms. Brenda.
Thank you, Madam Chief of Staff. What can I really say? There are no words. I mean, just look at my face. When the state attorney asked me if I would, I didn't have a clue. What I knew for certain was we needed to talk. You know, listening, hearing, we needed to talk. And who was we? I didn't know exactly, but I knew that I needed to reach to, on the outside, to the community, people who were living it, folks who was feeling it, needed help, needed resources. So I got to work. We partnered with Dignity Project, and we've been trying, the devil is busy, because God knows we've been trying to do this since 2000 and when the new administration came in. And look, how many years later? But the bottom line is we're here. They hear us, they see us. And I appreciate all the participation, the hard work, the commitment everyone has put on the table. And we're making a big soup. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I am so proud. I am so happy. I'm more happy than the state attorney. I'm not saying that. I really, really am. I am, because I knew that we need to start somewhere. I don't know who, but I knew we needed to talk, because if you got it, what's the thing? Let's talk pride, you know. And I want to give a special shout out to my task force, just like the state attorney said. Miss B, we started out with a committee. How did we get a task force? I don't know, Miss State Attorney. I have no idea, but we are here, and I know we're open to accept whomever would love to help us make a difference in the county. I think we're on the map. We're on the map. We're on the map. And I have to mention some names. Trust me, if I don't call your name, it's not because you didn't participate, not because I don't love you, but Camden was my assistant. Camden Heath Spears. I want to thank you so, so much for just being there. If I pick the phone up, she say, I got it. I appreciate it, because I could not do it by myself. And when we would meet, I know they would say, Miss B, you sitting at the head of the table. I say, but guess what? If I'm out of order, we all are out of order. It's not about me. It's about the community. We need to get this thing started, and we did that. And Sean Michael Wilson, I tell you, I didn't know whether he was going to be able to survive when Miss Raleigh Knox, when we made contact with her. Sean was so, he just like this, a star. Thank you so much, Sean, for making that connection with Miss Raleigh Knox. Thank you all so much, so much, so much. And with having said that, and I want to thank you too, Madam State Attorney, because you have given us the opportunity to, as always, do what you can to help. Everyone should be treated equal. That don't have anything to do with it. Absolutely. Your sex preference, how you live, who you choose to love, it's not your fault. It's not our fault. All we want is everyone to be treated equally and fair. And having said that, I would like to bring Dr. Brent back. He have a few words that he would like to say to you, Madam State Attorney.
Well, Madam State Attorney, on behalf of the Dignity Project, this was supposed to be given to you on yesterday at the park, but unfortunately, due to a medical emergency, I had to do it today. But you will receive this basket. We had this special basket made for you. I hope you like wine, because it has some wine in there. There's a pillow in there. You got a lot of pride stuff in here for you, okay? So
okay, that looks good. I see coffee as well.
Yeah, you got
I'm ready. Am I picking that up tonight?
Yeah, I just want to say a few words on behalf of the Dignity Project. And you know, Madam State's Attorney, we appreciate you. We love you. We're gonna support you. We're gonna continue working with you. You created a platform in terms of elected officials in Prince George's County. You are setting the pace. You're leading the way for us to move forward. And because of the work that you're doing, others are following suit. You are a leader. You're not a follower. You're setting the pace. And when we say that we're gonna support you, it's not just by words, it's by action. You know, and we're here with you. We're here for you. And just know that you gave us that space when there's no camera there, when there's no one looking. You stood up and you say, I am gonna serve every citizens of Prince George's County, including the LGBTQIA plus community, when it's not popular. It's kind of popular this year, but you were there and it's not popular. When it could have probably turned a different way in your political career, but you look at it and you say, people first, and you put us first. And we appreciate it, and we love you, and we respect you, and we forever move forward and support you 150% and make sure you know that. And but we're just proud to say the Dignity Project have a solid board that's behind you. We have Dr. Brent, myself as the co-founder and the director, and my beautiful girlfriend, Dr. Angelica Thompson, came on board as a vice president. And we have Rebecca from the library system that's gonna come on board with the Dignity Project. And we have people reaching out to us that want to be a part of it. And everyone that's want to be a part of it recognize that the state's attorney, Madam State's Attorney Aisha Brevoort, made history in Prince George's County by being a partner with the first ever Pride events, lighting up the Capitol wheel. It was a statement from Virginia, DC, and Prince George's County. And this is awesome. And this is not a one and done, State's Attorney. We're with you. Whatever your endeavors are, just know that the Dignity Project, and we are with you. And we're going to make sure everyone of the LGBTQIA plus community understands who is standing up for us, which is the State's Attorney, Miss Aisha Brevoort. We're with you. Whatever your title is, we're with you.
Oh, thank you.
Madam State's Attorney, right before you close us out, Camden, if you can just drop Miss Brenda's contact information into the chat. I'm getting quite a few inquiries of interest for those who would like to be a part of the task force. She is the POC and lead on behalf of our office. So I want to make sure that we can put her information into the chat. Thank you so much, Madam State's Attorney.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Madam Chief of Staff. And again, Brenda, Razor, Odin, you are just a sister friend, just a wonderful human being. And I was blessed to have met you so many years ago. And I have never stopped working for you. As you recall, you came to me with an issue and I worked with your community for, that's your cooperative. Housing cooperative for several years. And now as State's Attorney, I continue to work for you and you continue to tell me what to do, but also you're willing to do your part. And that's why we're here tonight, because you did your part. And so I'm so grateful to you and everyone else for being here. One of the things I want to be able to do, and no one has to, but if there's anyone who recently have come out or who want to, share any experience that they have, I want to provide that platform right now. Because we know that there aren't always space for you to do that. So if there's anyone who wants to share anything about their experience or wants to reveal anything to us, I'm going to be quiet and let anyone who wants to say anything right now have the floor. And I don't see anyone saying anything or asking to say anything. So my assumption is that everything that needs to have been said was said. Is that correct? I'm gonna give it one more moment. Okay, well, thank you all again for being here. And I know that Ms. Holmes just typed in the chat, anybody who is coming out and who would like to talk, she has provided her email address, and I appreciate that because not everyone is willing or wants to come out publicly. But if you need someone to talk to, you need an advocate, a cheerleader, a second mom, whatever you need. Miss Karen has offered her services and her ear. And Camden also just put in the chat Miss Brenda's email address, so you can contact Miss Brenda at comaffairs@co.pg.nd.us. You know what? This was a wonderful and historic conversation. I am so grateful and proud that my office was able to provide this platform. And if there's anything, again, that we can do for you, please let us know. If it is not within our area of expertise, we will use our platform to provide you with connections and contacts for whatever you need. We are here as a service provider. We are an agency of government, and we will do our best to serve everyone. So again, thank you. This did my heart proud. I'm just grateful for my incredible staff. Congratulations again to Thea on her victory today. Homicide cases are our toughest cases that we have. The stakes are the highest. And to know that I have someone in the office like Thea means everything. And she always delivers. Also, Jessica Garth, who you did not get to hear from tonight, is the assistant chief, newly appointed assistant chief of our Special Victims and Family Violence Unit. It's really important in that unit to have people who understand our diverse experiences, because when they come to us seeking justice, oftentimes they're afraid. And to know that we have someone like Jessica, who is a phenomenal attorney. She is just amazing, but she's also a good human being. She knows how to talk to people, and she also represents the LGBTQIA+ community extremely well. So we are grateful to have her in our office as well. And I know that Monica Myers, who recently joined our office, is an ally, and so we appreciate her for being here tonight, along with the other members of my staff who normally join us for community in the courthouse. So I won't shout all of them out, but I want to say thank you to, the folks that make this happen, our IT team and our our communications team, as well as our community affairs team. So thank you all very much and have a wonderful evening. And thanks again for joining us. See you next time.
I'm walking through life in nature's disguise. Yeah. You laugh at me and you criticize. Yeah. 'Cause I'm happy, carefree, and gay. Yes, I'm gay. Ain't no fault, it's a fact. I was born this way. Yeah. Now I won't touch you, don't you touch me. Feel all the way.